I'm going to take Israel Adesanya in this fight. I like the fact that he's younger. I like the fact that he's got a lot of momentum coming into this fight with the fact that he hasn't lost a single fight in the octagon. I know Jan Blachowicz typically gets overlooked, and this may be a spot where we are overlooking him in this fight, but I think Adesanya is faster. I don't think the size is going to be an issue of him moving up. And I also just think in general, he's a more technical striker than Jan Blachowicz, and I think that's going to pay dividends in this fight, especially if the fight gets later on in the fight, if Blachowicz isn't able to take out Israel Adesanya early. So I'm going to pick Izzy in this fight. I think he gets it done, but I think it'll be late or he'll pick up a decision here, but I definitely have to go with Israel Adesanya. Younger, faster. I think he's got a lot more ways to win this fight.
So for Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz, a genuine super fight. You know, we don't see these often in the UFC where it's one champion versus the champion below, and that's exactly what we have here. Jan Blachowicz is being completely overlooked in this fight, I think. I think he has the power to trouble Adesanya. I think he has the skills. He's used to facing really good kickboxers inside and outside of MMA and in his gym as well. But Adesanya is having said that, Adesanya is a really, really tough matchup for anyone. He's fast, he's intelligent, his game planning is second to none, which sometimes leads to boring fights and sometimes leads to absolute destructions. To me, I don't think it'll be either of those. I think this is going to be a close fight. I think it's going to go 5 rounds. I think it could go either way, but I'm just going to lean even towards Adesanya to win the decision here.
Israel Adesanya, I just think he's the best fighter under John Jones in the he's the best fighter not named John Jones right now in the UFC. And I'm saying that because Khabib is retired. I just think this Israel Adesanya is uber impressive. Jan is awesome. He just might be the second best fighter in the light heavyweight division after Israel if he goes up there. So I'm gonna pick Israel.
You asked him? You asked Jose Youngs?
Yeah, we just actually did like right before you.
Oh.
I know.
You can put that on the video, by the way.
I will. Man,
when it comes to Blachowicz, I've picked against him almost every time he's been in the UFC. I've been wrong almost every time, so I'm picking against him again. Izzy Adesanya to win and become a 2-division champion, and I can't wait till Blachowicz shoves that pick in my face.
Yeah, that one's certainly an interesting fight. I think that I will preface it by saying this. This is without a doubt Izzy's toughest test. And I think we've heard that throughout his UFC tenure so many times, whether it was the wrestling of Brunson that he was going to have a hard time dealing with, or whether it was the power of Costa that he was going to have a hard time dealing with. Everyone said those kinds of guys are the toughest tests, and he just dealt with it with like flying colors. So the thing about this fight is Jan is all of that wrapped into one. He has the knockout power. He has the Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So when you're dealing with like a multifaceted person like Jan, it can be very difficult to kind of figure out what path to victory there is. Having said that, and having seen what Israel has done, I am certainly picking him to win. I don't want to count Jan out. I feel like he's been counted out a number of times when asked about this fight, but it's just something about Izzy, man. I think he's precise, he's fast, he's slick, and I know a lot of people bring up the Polish power, which is obviously a very big issue. But man, I see Izzy getting out of the way of that and just picking him apart from the outside. So I'd have to go with Izzy in this fight. It could be recency bias. It could just be a well-educated thought, but I think Izzy gets it done against Jan.
I have a feeling I'm going to echo a lot of the same sentiments as my peers, where Jan Blachowicz just doesn't get enough credit from anyone, myself included. And I'd like to say that were Jan to be fighting anyone other than Israel Adesanya, anyone at light heavyweight, I would favor Jan at this point. But I'm going to do the man dirty again. Israel Adesanya is just shaping up to be that once-in-a-generation athlete inside and outside of the octagon. I do worry about the smaller cage. I do worry that Izzy will be fighting someone who's much closer to him in height and reach and is naturally a bigger guy. But Izzy's got Matrix-level striking, footwork, movement, takedown defense. And not just takedown defense, like he gets taken down, but he knows how to get up immediately. He is just such a complete fighter at this point. His striking is so next level. I have no reason to doubt Izzy, but there are some interesting question marks heading into this fight.
I like Israel Adesanya in that fight. I am someone who thinks Jan doesn't get enough respect. I thought he'd beat Dominic Reyes. Like I picked him to beat Reyes. But I just think Izzy's something like is so special. I think he's just gonna be too fast. I think the power of Jan is definitely could pose Adesanya trouble, but I just think he's gonna be too quick and then probably get a late TKO, like 4th, 5th round.
I think this one's tailor-made for Israel. If you look at his previous fights, like Paulo Costa, everyone was talking about, the hard hitter. Can Israel avoid him? And Jan's very much in that sort of vein. And I think Israel does have the speed to avoid those big Polish power shots. And I think Israel will actually probably pick him apart and maybe get a finish in the second.
I am the biggest non-believer in Jan Blachowicz. To the point, I still can't even pronounce his name right. I don't even give him that much respect. I'm such a bad MMA person for that. But in fact, in his last 4 fights, I won a Tapology. I picked against him in his last 4 fights. So I don't know why. I just can't get over the mental hurdle of the Jan that came into the UFC, who was kind of a mid-tier 205er. But clearly, this is a better version of him. He improved from his losses. He, in fact, did win or learn. So, but unfortunately, I'm actually going to go against him again. The guy is clearly awesome, and he's clearly exceeding my expectations. But I'm going Israel Adesanya. I think the middleweight, who's actually a small middleweight, will defeat Jan, and he will be the first middleweight and 205 light heavyweight multiple belt winner, multiple belt holder in the UFC, and it's gonna be exciting.
Oh, this one's so tough. I got to go with Izzy just because of the technical striking. It's going to be very interesting to see how he contends with the size and power of a guy like Jan Blachowicz, but just on the technique and the artistry and the preparation, I got to go with 2-weight world champ Izzy Adesanya.
That's like one of the craziest fights in UFC history, to be honest with you, in this opportunity that Jan has. I feel like it's more of an opportunity for Jan to go out there and show more of his Polish power. I think his Polish power is going to be the biggest difference maker in this fight. We know what Adesanya brings, and a lot of people feel like Adesanya is going to be too small for Jan Blachowicz. I don't think that that's going to be the case. I just think that there's just going to be a massive power difference, and with Jan, it only takes one shot, and he's knocked out light heavyweights, much bigger than Adesanya. And I'm going to go with Jan Blachowicz. And this goes completely against what history has told us, because every fighter, every champion that has gone up a weight class pretty much has won the title. But I feel like Jan, I know this is a bold pick, but Jan's going to break that curse.
It's a tough one to call because we always overlook Jan Blachowicz, but at the same time, it's so tough to go against Izzy. I mean, this guy is at the top of his game. He's clearly the best middleweight on the planet, and given who we have at the top of the 205-pound division, I think he might just be the best guy in that division as well. Give me Israel Adesanya either by a TKO or decision.
I really hate to be that guy because we keep underestimating what Jan Blachowicz can do. We keep on downplaying him. I mean, I looked in front of the man face to face, eye to eye at UFC 239 when he was about to fight Luke Rockhold, and everyone was writing him off, and he just had this smug look on his face, just like this air of confidence, and like looking at everyone else like we were fools because we doubted his abilities in that. But here I am right now doubting him winning this fight just because Israel Adesanya is another animal. He is a striker the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen in the sport before. It's just so fluid, it's so smooth, and on top of that, he just gets better every single time we see him. He gets better and better and better. Quite frankly, I'm not picking against the guy until I see a reason to. Adesanya should win this fight.